African Horizon. Today we'll look at the forum on ChinaAfrica Cooperation, which was in Dakar in Senegal in West Africa this week. I also want to take a look at the larger China-Africa relationship. How will China's relations with Africa develop in the coming years? Will Chinese investments in Africa continue in the future? And how will the larger China-Africa relationship develop as it matures? Well, this week was the forum on China-Africa Cooperation, an annual forum between China and Africa. It was in Dakar in Senegal in West Africa, and the keynote address was presented by President Xi Jinping from Beijing. He stressed the importance of China's relationship with Africa, that Chinese investments in Africa will continue to support Africa's development and economic growth. In addition, he also stressed that China will continue to support Africa during the COVID pandemic, particularly with 1 billion vaccines in the coming year, and a large portion of these will also be manufactured in Africa. This is going to cement Africa's health sector and also develop Africa's health manufacturing capacity. In addition, China will support the building of a range of health centers around the African continent. Therefore, China's relationship with Africa is now also expanding into the health sector, and therefore that is going to be an important part of China's relationship with Africa in the coming years. In addition, we're going to see more investments in infrastructure, particularly railroad and road connectivity, inland logistics clusters, in addition to maritime port, industrial programs, manufacturing capacity, energy projects, also in renewable projects, in addition to retail and a range of other industrial and business sectors. So we're going to see more Chinese investments in the coming years. Now, for the last 12 years, China has been the largest trading partner with Africa in the world, and now China's trade with Africa is approximately $200 billion annually. This is a very important relationship for Africa, but also for China. In addition, we're going to see more focus on regional infrastructure connectivity. By that, I mean China will work on developing road connectivity and railroad connectivity and infrastructure and supply chain connectivity with coastal and landlocked countries, thereby strengthening the infrastructure connectivity across the African continent. In the future, I also think we will see a focus on developing infrastructure connectivity for across the African continent, from Western to Eastern Africa, but also across North Africa, from Egypt all the way to Morocco. And that will be very important to strengthen stability, economic development, and infrastructure connectivity across these regions. This is also going to be very important as Chinese investments strengthen in other areas, such as digital connectivity. We're also going to see a range more telecom investments. There will be also a focus on developing 4G, 5G also in countries where that is possible, but particularly strengthening the basic telecom infrastructure in countries and regions, particularly where there is a limited telecom infrastructure. We're also going to see more focus on agriculture, food production, in addition to other areas. So Chinese investments in Africa will continue in the future. In addition, we're going to see now a more mature relationship between China and Africa. There is now a lot of experience. A lot of Chinese business people are used to traveling in Africa, being in Africa. But what we've also seen is that a lot of Chinese companies have trained local people on the ground over the last years. Therefore, a range of infrastructure projects now are also managed and developed with local content, as we see in Nairobi with the expressway built from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport into Westlands in Nairobi. We see Kenyan workers all along the expressway in Nairobi. There are still some technical Chinese supervisors on the ground, but in large portion, we're seeing a lot of local content, which is very important for the programs developed with local workers, but also for education, local work programs, and job training. This is strengthening local economy and also employment for people across Africa. Therefore, going forward, we're going to see more Chinese investments in a range of business sectors. We're going to see a more mature relationship between China and Africa. And contrary to what a lot of Western journalists and analysts talk about, that only African countries are being debt trapped by China, this is not necessarily true. However, I think China in the future will focus on projects that could really also be more balanced for African countries to avoid the large debt that some countries have experienced over recent years. However, the question is also, what is the alternative? I mean, in terms of the importance of China's investments in Africa. Personally, I've traveled across the African continent a range of times, and I've seen the importance of Chinese investments, because we must remember large parts of Africa still do not have the basic infrastructure. They lack roads, they lack railroad connectivity, in addition to a range of other areas. Therefore, Chinese investments in the African continent are so important. I've personally seen it on the ground, and for these countries to develop both economically, but also in terms of develop locally, so people see the opportunities that it really provides by staying and remaining in the area, which will then diminish the migration and refugee flows, which we have seen from African countries. Chinese investments will be crucial. Therefore, China's relationship with Africa will continue. It will strengthen. We're going to see more investments. We're going to see more health projects, health manufacturing, developing local vaccine production, in addition to strengthening digital and telecom connectivity and a range of other areas. Therefore, China's relationship with Africa will expand and mature in the coming years. This is going to be crucial for Africa, but also for China, because trade with China and Africa have increased. We have seen increased exports from Africa to China as well over last year, and that I think as well will just continue. So again, China's relationship with Africa will continue. Chinese investments with Africa will continue, focusing on a range and more sectors than we have also seen in the past. And this is going to be crucial for Africa. Well, thank you so much for joining. I look forward to see you again. And remember to subscribe to Global Horizon. Thank you.